Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. Sorry, but there's been a bit of a delay between my episodes. It's been hectic. Just published a new book, and you kind of have to relax after that. And I couldn't really wrap my head around anything I wanted to talk about. And even when I did, I wasn't really happy with it. But then today happened. Like I said, I'm screwing around trying to get my creativity back, and I come across a new series that's coming out. Star Wars. Yes, I'm a Star Wars guy. I like science fiction in general. So, this new series is coming out called The Acolyte. Got my attention. And they sell it to you like this. It's set in the High Republic, about 200 years before the Skywalker saga. Okay, you got the hook. And it involves, they know that the dark side is coming, they can feel it, and it's going to be a mystery to try to figure it out. Okay, hook and line, I'm interested. The cast looks good from what I understand, the little bits that I've seen here and there. Not really a big movie person, but at the same token, this series, it's got me hook and line. But then they toss in their sinker. Female centric. Yeah, this fish is off the line. Now, don't get me wrong, I am going to watch it fairly and let the series stand on its own merits, but I'm really worried about that. Now, let me explain. Silverlight is not a sexist. He's not a racist. He's flat in the middle as far as all that goes. Respects the LGBTQ community, respects people of all spectrums. But you see, those two words, female-centric, are a lead weight that's going to drag this project under. You see, movies don't succeed by being, movies and TV series, don't succeed by being anything centric. When they released the Black Panther, they didn't say African American centric. There's tons of stuff coming out of Bollywood and Korean theater. They don't label it Asian centric. And there's a reason for that. Speaking as an author, successful series attract the widest audience. Now let's look at Star Wars for a second. It's falling under that science fiction umbrella. But it's heavily influenced by fantasy, so that limits your audience down to that subset. Female-centric doesn't split that audience in half. There's plenty of female science fiction fans. I mean, who doesn't like to see some cool action sequences play out? But the problem is, when you cut down your audience like that, you tend to please only the most, how am I going to put this, the most polarized. So the second you put female-centric up, you're going to get men complaining, oh, this is a bunch of feminazi crap. Yes, there's still men like that in this universe. I'm afraid there always will be. And then you get the women, the so-called feminazis, who are like, I'm watching this just because it's female-oriented. But like I said, Star Wars is family-oriented. PG family, but same token, almost everything that happens in Star Wars, you could pretty much show to an 8 or 10-year-old, and they're going to understand it, and they're certainly going to enjoy it. It never gets much beyond a hug and a kiss kind of a deal as far as sexuality goes. And the violence is pretty PG. We're not talking like Predator where there's blood dripping out of every scene and, we're talking in a much more tame and calm environment. Now you think about things for a minute. Let's just say you're a 30-year-old woman, couple kids, husband in or out of the picture, boyfriend, whatever. If you like Star Wars or you don't like Star Wars, the female-centric is not selling you on it. What's selling you is the plot line, where they're trying to find out about this mystery. Star Wars already set itself up for being relatively egalitarian for the time period that it was conceived in. Look at Star Trek, that is only a little bit older than Star Wars. And, Kirk, Bones, and Spock are a radical character departure. Yes, they would deal with politics and political situations, but they tended to shy away from, you know, they didn't really lean too heavily into the female role model. They had Uhura, I give them that, Nurse Chapel, who showed up every couple episodes. But overall, Star Trek was a product of its time. Star Wars came from a product of its time, but it managed to evolve, like I said, into a family show. And please note the difference. Family. Female-centric, like I said, you're just inviting those reprobate males, and I don't know what to call the women. The ones who get excited about that, like I said, they're just not the ones that you attract in the Star Wars demographic. Speaking as a writer who has had some exposure, I've had editors tell me, watch the way you're switching perspectives, and I admit that is a flaw in my writing. But they never tell me, oh, you need more female representation, you need more male representation, you need this, you need that. No, they take the story for what it is. And I've set out and written a female-centric, in quotes, book before. It's called Blood, with Annabelle in Victorian times. And she's a very strong character for Victorian times, and I made sure to write into it how people perceive her. But it wasn't specifically written to be female-centric. There was a whole lot of other stuff going around. She was in the middle of it, but at the same token, so was her brother, so was Malik, who's one of the characters, and so is Jack the Ripper. They're all part of the same scene. So, it's definitely not female-centric. Do you know why? Because I want my books to be purchased by a wider audience. Now, we know the president of Lucasfilms, Kathleen Kennedy, has tried to push this female-centric Star Wars vision, and it has not gone well for her. I mean, we appreciate the things that have happened, but historically speaking, there's a genre that appeals to women, but it's a niche genre. So you're really cutting off your foot to spite your face. It doesn't work. As an example, let's use the 2016 Ghostbusters versus was it 2020 or 2021 Ghostbusters? The 2016 is female-centric. Do you know what? I actually think the actresses did a good job with the material they were given. The writers really, really needed to revisit that script a few more times. It worked, it was cohesive, but it just wasn't that good. So it was female-centric, but it wasn't good. Whereas the newer Ghostbusters was family-oriented. I don't know if you'd want to watch that with a 4-year-old because you'd give them nightmares with the ghosts in it, but the same token, it's something that the whole family can enjoy. Why we feel the need to cut the audience down to just one small segment is beyond me. It's nuts. It's insane. And it doesn't work. Basically, this is poison to any franchise. Star Trek has always had the ability, yes, the captain is usually the center of the show, but not always. They've been able to focus on individual things. They could have an ensign be the favorite in one episode, and, Riker or Spock or whoever it is be the focus of another episode. But that's the advantage of their storytelling format. Star Wars was always intended, here's the good guys, the Jedi, here's the bad guys, the Sith or dark side users, and you can kind of build from that. It doesn't need to be anything centric. And I honestly wonder what kind of game is going on at Disney where they're allowing this. Well, I would argue they're encouraging it. But honestly, if my 9, nearly 10-year-old sat down, watched Star Wars, and decided she liked Leia, she liked Rey, or she liked Luke, I could care less. I'm not going to sit down and have her watch female-centric stuff, unless it's particularly good, let's be honest. And like I said, Silverlight comes from a very strong mother and an equally strong father. But my mother was around more often because my father worked shifts, and it was, at the time, that was what they had to do to get ahead. I understand that. And I admire my mother's strength. But I didn't get that from watching a movie. I didn't get that from watching TV. I got that from experiencing it in real life. Movies reflect the spirit of the age that the age is weakest in, as per Carl Jung. What that means is the natural tendency for a creator, such as myself, is to create something that's not out there. Right now, we got a whole lot of movies with a lot of strong male protagonists. I will be happy to admit that. But when you actively are bucking that trend, it's different than when it flows naturally. You don't sit down with your mission statement to be female-centric. You sit down with your mission statement to be, what is the best story I can tell? What is the best movie I can make? What is the best anything that I can do? We are losing that in the present age. And it is distressing indeed. I don't know what to do other than to tell people, let your inner creative side flow. Because I think it might be the only way we get out of this safely. And with that, just as a friendly reminder, don't forget to click the link down in the comments, because we have 6 books out now, soon to be 8. Hopefully by the beginning of 2023, because I've got 2 in the pipe right now, part of the Summerland trilogy, which actually turns out to be relatively representative. Got a Jewish boy, a black boy, and an Asian girl wind up on an adventure. Did I purposely choose that? No, not really. I just found some appealing things from those characters and worked it in. Never sat down purposely to make it any way or another. That's just the characters that appeared in my mind. With that, we hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And we hope you have a fantastic day.